Hey guys, it's Alyssa Marie, your intuitive reader, and I am back today with a different kind of video. Today we are going to be talking about what they don't tell you about Ascension, and we'll get into that in a second. But first off, I wanted to say I'm making this voice clip so that you guys can just fully listen. You can do other things, whatever you have to do, and just listen with your headphones or whatever. Now, I want to say also that this is 100% my opinion, as is everything on my channel, so don't come at me if you don't agree, right? That's totally okay. We are all here having our own opinions, and that is fine. But what I wanted to share with you today is my opinion on what they don't tell you about the ascension process, about ascension. And when I say they, I am talking about mainstream spiritual teachers, such as ones you see on YouTube, ones you read about in books, ones you see in documentaries, things like that. So, the reason I'm coming on here today is because I have been watching several videos on YouTube in particular of certain people, and I'm not going to name names because this is a big, big thing for a lot of people on YouTube. A lot of people think this way. But I kind of got a bit offended by it, and so I really wanted to talk to you guys about it. So if you guys don't know already, but if you clicked on this video, you probably do. A lot of us are starseeds. I believe to be a starseed. A lot of you probably do. And we have lived many lives. So everything I'm going to say as fact necessarily isn't, right? It's my opinion, but I'm just going to say it as fact so I don't have to say every time this is my opinion, okay? That we have lived many lives, and in this time on earth we have chose to come in to this 3D body in order to live the 3D experience, but also ascend to the fifth dimension, ascend the earth plane to the fifth dimension, to a higher vibration. Now, one thing that a lot of people say is the only way to ascend is to be positive, right? Is to think fifth dimensional thoughts, is to act in a fifth dimensional way. And when they say this, fifth dimensional behaviors include love, empathy, right? Integrity, very positive traits. Now, they always claim that 3D emotions are things like fear, hate, lust, disgust, right? Anger. They consider these to be 3D emotions and patterns of thought and patterns of behavior. They claim that if you are thinking these thoughts, that you will never be able to fully ascend, that your mind must be in the fifth dimensional space as much as it can be, otherwise you're stuck at a low vibration. And that is where I 100% disagree. Because what they're forgetting is that when you decided to come down here in this incarnation as a third dimensional being, you knew, well, at the time, most likely, right, you were a higher dimensional being, and you decided to come down here where you knew it was going to be hard. You knew that the third dimension, Earth, was filled with hate, was filled with anger, and that you needed to ascend it, right? But that doesn't mean, guys, that you are not supposed to live a 3D life. Like, for, the end point, we want to ascend planet Earth to the new Earth, fifth dimensional Earth, right? But that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to feel negative emotions, okay? So if you feel anger, right? Please feel the anger and then let the anger go. Don't ignore the anger, because that is like some of the worst advice I've ever heard, is to kind of just push it away. Like, okay, we are not going to feel anger today, guys. We are going to feel positive. We are not going to feel lust, okay? We are going to feel positive. We are going to, we are going to be always at a high vibrational state. And that's one, that's unrealistic, and two, that is not what you're here to do, okay? Now, obviously, you don't want to always feel sad, right? Because then that turns into depression. You don't always want to feel anxious, because then that turns into an anxiety disorder. But that doesn't make you any less worthy, okay? Because I hear people saying, like, you can't possibly ascend if you live with depression because you're doing something wrong. No, you're not, okay? No, you're not. And even if you don't deal with mental illnesses like that or anything else, right? Even if you don't deal with that, if you're sad because your boyfriend broke up with you, be sad. If you are angry at somebody for the way that they've treated you, feel angry, okay? Because you were meant to feel these emotions. Now, that doesn't mean that you live in those emotions, because that's when it gets detrimental, right? But you are meant to feel those emotions. You are meant to. And if you go to any therapist, right, most likely they want you to confront your feelings, confront your thoughts. So you don't go to a therapist and they're just like, okay, so what do you want to do with your life? And, be happy. And I mean, they do to a certain degree, but they say, why do you feel that way, right? We all know that question. Why do you feel that way? They dig into your past. They do all these things because they want you to confront those feelings. If you are unable to confront those emotions, that's the key, right? You will not ascend because you are meant to feel them, and you are meant to feel this third dimensional body that you're in. And if you're trying to ascend, and that's another thing, ascension, from what I've gathered from meditation and just from inner knowing, is a process, and it is meant to last years and years, and however long it takes you, lifetimes even. It is not supposed to be something that, like, right now in this lifetime, I think that's where people get it wrong. You're not supposed to just ascend, boom, just like that. It's not like you go through a spiritual awakening and your spiritual awakening lasts a week, boom. It might for some people, but for most people, I'm going to say a good 95% of people, right? A large portion of people do not go through ascension just like that. It is a long process, and it's supposed to be, because you are ascending Earth, and you are ascending your soul and your personal being, and you're ascending the collective, okay? It is not something that happens overnight. Now, another thing that I hear that does upset me a little bit, now when I say upset, it just kind of ruffles my feathers a little bit, is there are people that say, don't watch the news, don't watch horror movies, don't like Halloween, don't play violent video games. And that is where, again, I have to fully disagree. If you guys fully disagree with me, that is fine. This is not about a debate. This is about my feelings on my channel, okay? And I'm just trying to help you guys out. And I think you already know this. You can watch a horror movie, okay? Don't let these people tell you don't watch a horror movie. It lowers your vibration. If you think that way, the thing is that you must not have much control over yourself, because if you're letting outside forces of a fake movie lower your vibration, then you have some work to do. Because you should be able to watch a horror movie. And I mean, we're not children here, okay? We are not children. We are able to distinguish and differentiate between fiction and nonfiction, between fantasy and reality, okay? Like, I know that when I'm watching a movie about a werewolf, right, that kills people, that's not bringing me down. It's a movie, okay? Same with video games. It's a video game. I play it for entertainment. Yes, there can sometimes be violent themes, and that's a whole nother thing, but I'm not letting it affect me. And if you really do think that it lowers your personal vibration, then don't play it. But like, for the most, it shouldn't be, because you shouldn't be able to have negative things like that, petty things like that, like a video game or a movie, lower you down. Same with other people. You shouldn't let other people bring you down. Now, I know that's easier said than done, because sometimes people do. Now, if you're somebody that really struggles with other things, if you're sensitive and it affects you, then yes. But for the majority of people, you should be able to watch a horror movie. You should be able to like Halloween. Okay, I love Halloween, I love horror movies, and I love video games, and they don't affect me in a negative way. In fact, they affect me in a positive way. I love different cool stories. I love learning about murder mysteries and stuff. It does not make me ascend any less, because I know that I'm at a higher vibration, enough to not let these fantasy ideas affect me. Now, with news, that's the next point I'm going to make. News is a big one, because we know, well, for the most part, we know that it's not fantasy. Like, let's talk about the elephant in the room, COVID-19. That can be a big ol' discussion in and of itself. But for instance, if you're somebody that is like, oh, I'm never going to watch the news, I can understand why you say that because we know that there are a bunch of news stations and news sources that do not give us the full story and how the media controls us. And yes, yes, this is true. But if you're actually somebody that is like, I'm not going to watch the news like about COVID at all, then you're kind of contributing to the problem because you're not being informed. And you do need to be informed about something like a pandemic, okay? And I think you do need to be informed about black lives that are being taken, about transgender people that are being discriminated against, about sex trafficking, about all of these things. And you know, maybe it's not necessarily the best place to get it from certain news sources, you know, be wary about where you get your information from, right? But I don't agree with those people who say completely shut it out because it brings your vibration down. You know, that's the 3D again. What I was saying, you have got to be understanding that you are here for a 3D incarnation, guys. You are here for that. And if you think that you're not, well, that's wrong. Because if you're right here, right now, you are in a 3D body. And so you are going to be dealt, you know, cards of things that might make you uncomfortable. Okay? It's like murders and stuff you hear about on TV, you know, but you can't isolate yourself from it. I mean, you don't want to constantly, you know, be reading just negative stories and things like that because that could bring you down. But you've got to, you know what I mean? Like, I hope you guys are understanding me on this one. I hope you guys are really seeing what I'm talking about because I'm not aiming to offend anyone. I'm not aiming to start an argument with anyone because if you think otherwise than me, that is okay. Just simply click out and go on your own way and live your own life. We are able to do that. But I'm letting you guys know about this because I feel like it's offending people and they're not saying it. If you struggle with mental illness, depression, anxiety, PTSD, you name it, an eating disorder or anything like that, don't feel shameful about it, okay? We are human. Yes, we are starseeds. Our souls, we've lived other places, the majority of us, but in this lifetime, we are human. We are 3D. It is only expected for us to deal with illness, mental illness, physical illness, because we're in the 3D. And that doesn't mean that you're wrong. That doesn't mean that you're less. That doesn't mean that you're less on your journey by any means, okay? So know that. Because I sometimes think that some of these spiritual teachers put it in your heads that you're less along on your spiritual journey. And I could go on and on about this, but I wanted to make this video. Hopefully it's not too long, but I wanted to make it because it's been weighing on me because I keep seeing it. And all that's doing, they talk about the media being fear-mongering, and it is to a certain degree. I totally agree with that. But, some of these spiritual teachers, they are creating fear-mongering. They are making some of their followers, some people in the spiritual community think that they're doing things wrong, that they shouldn't be feeling this way, that they shouldn't be feeling these emotions, that they shouldn't be feeling hate, whatever the negative emotion that they associate it with. No, okay? No. That's all I gotta say. No, 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 no. You are okay. You are on your own path. Don't forget it. But yeah, like I said, I could go on about this for many things. But just know 100% you are beautiful, you are fine, you are okay. Take things with moderation, right? Because if you do constantly surround yourself with negative people, if you constantly never aim to do anything, think anything positive, you're constantly looking at graphic things, well then yes, it can affect you, right? It can affect your vibration. But for the most part, you guys, you're fine, okay? Like Halloween, like your horror movies. You're good, girl and boy. You are good. And I think, again, and we got to be careful with this, just like any mainstream religion, any, group, sometimes if we're not careful, we are starting to turn the spiritual community on YouTube in particular into us versus them, and we do not want to do that because we are then just playing into the routine of every other thing, right? Like I'm not going to get into that, but you know what I mean, us versus them. Like, I'm right and you're not. And then that is just creates tension, and that, guys, will definitely affect the collective's vibration. Okay? And also, I'm sure you know that we're not going to ascend until the collective decides to ascend as a whole, which obviously individuality does play a major part in that. But do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you do. I hope this made sense. And if you are interested in this kind of video, this kind of topic, let me know and I can talk more about different things. Or if you guys have any uh, questions or anything, let me know. Obviously, I don't know all the answers. I'm just like you. But I hope this made sense and I hope it provided some clarity, okay? I'm not trying to make an argument with anybody. I don't really feel like debating because there's nothing to debate. It's a matter of opinion, but I feel like some people really do need to hear this, okay? So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm uploading this on Friday, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.